I think there's a sham that we should carry on with Torah Reish Pei Base just to get the ball rolling again after being in London. It was not an easy trip emotionally, even though it went very smooth logistically. As we were saying, it's cold, but not just cold physically, it's cold emotionally in many ways. Even though, thank God, the people I love were very loving, but there's other people that it was difficult to access, etc. For whatever reason, and I personally need to warm up a little bit. And this Torah Reish Pei base is without going all the way through to the end, because then it gets a bit abstract, a bit high, because we're talking about the Tzaddik Moshe. Until we get to that point and just focus on the Kodesh Tovus, it's very, very mamish lemaisa for our door. We need this kind of Torah. And so I was listening to Gedalia Fentz this morning, and he was saying very strong how the Rabbi Nachman is like for this generation, and Gedalia is very much the guy who's up there and understanding what's good for now in his, Sviva of Miami and other places he's connected with. And even though we're in Eretz HaKodesh, but I feel like Rabbi Nachman comes even more alive here in the Holy Land, and especially after Shabbos, like you brought our Holy Yid, Rabbi Joey Rosenfeld, to Efrat, to Shirat David, and he focused us in on these Nakudas very much of Moshe and Das, things we've come up, with Rabbeinu. And one of the mice of what I think we should do once we've done this Torah, maybe tomorrow we'll start the other Torah that he mentioned after Musaf, or was it before Musaf? Yeah, before Musaf, when he spoke, was Torah Gimel. And Torah Gimel is all about, as you can see, someone underlined it here, Kushamer Menagen Kosher Vahagon, as I Tovlo. So you remember we wanted to learn about music?
Right.
So this is the Torah, and he mentioned it Shabbos.
Right.
It's Fardeya and the whole thing. And so Bashkacha Pratis, he came here and talked about the Torah that we should learn next, I think. Nigun Kosher. I think that would be our next mission. And it's interesting, it's underlined in this edition of Likutei, and it was Rabbi BOdi's apparently. So here we are, everything's divine providence. Personally, I'm not feeling so great, like emotionally, so I'm hoping that Rabbi Nachman is going to give me some chizuk and healing. But the most important part of this Torah is to find it in yourself. Like that's the real key of the Tzaddik. I was talking about it with someone. The real nakuda of learning Torah Chassidus is to awaken that truth within yourself, not just to rely on the Tzaddik.
Right.
Because then only when you're learning the Tzaddik do you get the chizuk. You have to find that nakuda within. But nevertheless, let's be realistic. We're at the end of days, 2024. It's only got harder spiritually, and the light of the Tzaddik is going to help awaken that point. So we have to be realistic there. So I think we got to the point last time we learned about the Kodesh Tovus, about being Simcha Tamid, always happy, getting rid of depression and negativity. I don't remember exactly where we got to. I do remember we touched on the idea of finding the Kodesh Tovus within ourselves, not just in others. Finding in others was the initial part of the Torah. Finding within ourselves is the next part of the Torah. And we said it's connected to the idea of a Shliach Tzibur and someone who's going to awaken the good in the people around them. The Matzah Atzma is a Davar Tov. Let's just see, I'm just going ahead. I think we should begin with Bechinas Menagin Klei Zema. You see that what that is? It's I think it's a bit in the middle somewhere.
Bechinas Azamra, Elokai, BOdi.
Yeah, but I think they were a little bit further back because it seems like that's already jumping. We're still so let me help you find it. It's over here. Mine will be after Mikates and
Right here.
yeah.
So Cheni Chafesh.
Alright, so we'll start there. Yeah. Cheni Chafesh Shilake Od Lekudas Tovus I Day Nice in the Gunim. So once again, we're going to obviously have a theme of music right now, which is good, which is what we need. Yeah, we need to chapesh, like seek out, velaket, and gather more good points. How do we do this? By making songs. Yeah, I wanted to sing last night as well. It was nice. We just had singing in the other room, and I just didn't get around to it. And it probably would have helped, but
Yeah.
that wasn't the avoda for some reason.
In Motzei Shabbos, I usually, not usually, every year Motzei Shabbos, I
Play a little bit
take
guitar.
out my guitar and I play for like at least a half hour.
Yeah, I think I should have done that
So
last
only thing,
time.
like,
Maybe I'll
is
do it today.
My neshama, some.
Yeah, I think that's what I missed doing. B'chinas menagem b'klei zemer. The aspect is to play with an instrument, like a klei zemer, a vessel of song. Yeah, so that's the idea that this is what menagem, to sing with an instrument. Sheb'chinas melachet ruach tova min ruach nechaya atzvus ruach ein sham. See what happens when you're playing with an instrument. This is probably why I should have done it last night, because you draw out the ruach tova from the ruach, the good ruach, the good energy, the good spirit, from the sad, depressed, negative spirit. That's the avoda, yeah, which is something which for our generation would be a good idea. Just oust like functionality.
I guess it goes more into that Sidman bin Daled.
Yeah, so maybe we'll learn that at some point as well. Since Moharan, that's where we're holding. It doesn't say that here.
Oh, it says but Maimer.
Oh, you're right. The Imakates, 7 and Daled. Okay. So Mr. Shem, there's a whole Torah Mikates on Daled. Let's have a look for a second as where that is. So this is all in the first part of Moharan. Torah's Rebbe and Nachman. And Daled. Let's see what it says here. Imakates. Yeah, this is a famous Torah as well. Most of the Torahs are famous. The Ahmad Asi mentioned that. Your guest mentioned that concept. So we're going to get into that. Maybe after we learn Gimel, we'll learn Dalet. Try and remember that. Okay, great. So here we are, trying to draw out the good Ruach from the not good Ruach. Yeah, and that is what someone who's a musician, that's what they do. And that in itself, by doing that on an instrument, that manifests as doing it in yourself, within. Mm-hmm. Remember, there's a concept in Mesilat Yesharim. Every pula chitzonis is more a pula panemius. Yeah, like every outward movement awakens something within. Right. Like a Tony Robbins, event on a Havdil, gets everyone jumping around. Why is he doing emotion? To get the positive energy going. Right. So the jumping around, or the clapping, or the singing, the dancing, it awakens. So here it's playing the good notes of an instrument, awakens the good notes within.
Right. Well, also he was saying, I remember he said that story.
Yeah.
That there's a song with a word, a song with a zimra, a song that's like a niggin without words.
Oh yeah.
And there's a niggin without a
niggin.
niggin.
Yeah.
And that's the deepest niggin.
Yes. So maybe that's what I was singing last night.
Yeah.
A niggin without a niggin. Yeah. Something was going on. I know it's rough. Aklal, where are we holding? She beginneth malachet ruach tava min ruach nechaya atzas ruach hansham. Klal ki negina kadushi gavor ma'od ki yidua. And this is the cloud, and the ginna of a song of holiness is very, very high, as is known. Ika nigan naseh. The main nigan is doing. Aidei bira tov minara. To draw out the good from the bad. So when you're playing a musical instrument, that's what you're doing. That is the avoda. And it's see, in the ginna kedusha, a holiness song is from the highest places. Remember we mentioned when we were learning 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, about this idea of the Heichel and the Gina. Heichel Mashiach, Heichel Limud Schus. I don't know, maybe it was even last Sunday, I don't remember. But we talked about this concept that the higher realms, there's these Heicholas, these holy places where song emerges from, the Neshama Mashiach, the light of Mashiach comes from, and the light of Tshuva, and the light of Schus, of focusing on the Schut, on the good of people. Yeah. Right. So this Heichel they're all very near each other. They're all very close, meaning there's a connection between all of them. So even in the higher realms, the same thing. But down here in this world, this is how we awaken those aspects, by playing the Nigunim with Kedusha, holy songs, and drawing out the good from the bad. Okay, so that's very practical for us musicians. ואולכן עידן שאינו מניח להפיל את עצמו ומחי את עצמו ומשהו מחפש מבקש מוצא בעצמו איזה נקודות טובות מנחם מבוא אילו נקודות טובות. And therefore, through the whole thing of placing on yourself to not fall and to machai yourself, that you will wake up in what you're looking for and to request in yourself these good points and to gather those points and to mavara, to clarify those points, these nakudas tovas, and it's coming out from the not good and all the psolis is like waste, that's in him. Because everyone has a mix. This is very real human Torah from Rabbi Nachman. This is what Gedalia was saying on Erev Shabbos, that we're not just like living in cuckoo land, imagining we're like Malachim. We have a mix of good and bad within each of us. Every human being is not perfect. So that awareness of truth, of getting rid of that imagination of perfection and being real with it, we're a human being with all these good and not good aspects to ourselves, then we know once we're real and self-aware of what we're dealing with, then we can home in on the Nekudas Tovas and melachit that aspect of ourselves, draw out, clarify it, make it shine, the good parts of ourselves. Like, I mean, everyone's very good at it online, but that's all fake, Everyone's very good at like managing to curate this like profile and whole look, appearance, like they're this like shining happy people with their spouse and children. Everyone's like polished and looking a certain way in their friends and their lifestyle. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about within a person, not externally. Because there's lots of pretty looking people who are inside are monsters, It's about drawing out the good within, that the Nekudas Tovas that come from an internal place, a self-awareness. Remember, because he's the Tzaddik, he's not talking about externality, he's talking about internality. Let's just see a little bit underneath here what the rabbi in Brezov.org, Rabbi Chaim Kramer, focused in on. He says, therefore, by not letting himself fall, but reviving himself, he says machaya means to revive, by search and seek until he finds himself some good points, gathering several of those good points from evil and impurity within him. Through these melodies are made as explained above. And then we're going to get to the most important thing in a minute, but you hear what he's saying. You have to not let yourself fall. It means you have to have much inner strength, he says underneath, to constantly search for the good points and keep yourself from falling into depression. I don't know if you're experiencing this in real time, but I am, Like life, if you don't strengthen yourself, no one else is going to do it. No rabbi, Moshe Weinberg is not here 24/7 every time you're feeling low to come and tell you what you need to hear.
Right.
He'll give a shir once a week, twice a week. Maybe you'll get to speak to him once a week. Maybe if you're lucky, if you're one of the lucky ones, And then maybe within the shir he'll talk to you on the shama in a way that you just what you needed. But give another day or two, and life and all the challenges, you're going to forget somewhat his words, and you're going to be having to find the strength within. So this is the reality of being a human being, that you constantly need to strengthen yourself. He says here, true happiness is one of the most difficult things to attain. It's based on Rabbi Nachman's wisdom, Sikhs Moharan. Therefore, a person must search and seek, gather up any good points he can find, and through this come to sing to God with a renewed spirit of joy and happiness. Reb Nosson explains that one of the most effective ways of finding good points is by recalling all the Chasdei Hashem. I was trying to do that last night with the person I was talking to. I was just saying that we're healthy, we've got a home, we got a car, we got this, we got that. I started listing off like there's like 100 things,
Right.
Our kids are this, There's people like Hashem Shemenu during this war, their kids are no more, Hashem Shemenu,
Right.
Or their kids are injured, or Chas Shalom, or their kids aren't talking to them, or
their house got destroyed.
or they're living in some weird place, There's so much crazy stuff going on right now, and just to have like some basics, fine. I don't have the island kitchen with the polished floors, and I don't have this 8-seater car, and I don't have, all the different things. I don't have like endless budget to just go on some program or go holiday or have a cleaner or 100 things that a lot of people have got used to as if that's normal. The shirus of this generation. So I don't have all that. Okay, all right. Hashem decided that's not where I'm at. But nevertheless, there's so much good I do have, and trying to just thank Hashem with that, and not just say like rote, but like actually to feel it, and it starts to pick you up to a higher place of happiness. It starts to affect your matzav ruach. Recording these times promotes joyous memories and happy feelings. We turn the person to search his memory for other good times, additional good points, and to express his joy in song to Hashem. And also as a Shabbat and the holidays, especially propitious times singing to God, for catching the spirit of happiness, transform it to melody in order to come close to God. So one of the things I teach is in Bnei Akiva, we're going through these habits, and it's to help the kids want to know about intimacy for some reason. But my main nakuda, as much as I talk about that, is to bring good habits. And one of the habits is Shabbos, you have to, it's called sharpening the saw in Stephen Covey's book. But the idea is you have to revise, you have to go over, you have to internalize all the good points in your life, internalize what you accomplished in the week. Once you've done that, then you're in the right headspace to them for the new week. Yeah. The problem is when you're like in this state of lack in the most intense way, it's most likely you're not going to be jumping around and happy and preparing for the new week. You're going to be feeling all these lacks, and it's going to just de-energize you. Yeah, and it really makes enough of how your mind and your headspace is to go function and do what you have to do. Yeah. So it's very like practical. This, even though it takes a bit of inner work and inner awareness. So reviewing your week, reviewing yourself, reviewing in a positive way. I feel it has to be done positively, even though you can't deny some of the things you're missing, and you have to eventually have goals to achieve those things. Like there's a balance, but I would say majority of the time you have to focus on the good for this generation, because there's so much focus on what you're not doing and what you're not accomplishing and who is accomplishing. You go on social media, it's almost most of it's just people showing you what they're doing in a high level, and then you're going to feel lax.
Right.
So, one of my friends I went to see, and he's, thank God, very successful. One of the keys to success is he hates social media. He's like, never on it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He thinks they're just all garbage, and he doesn't have anything on it. And so he's just very focused person. And it doesn't affect his growing success in business and marriage and all the important things in life. So you think, but you need social media nowadays. No, who says? Yeah, not, if you don't have to work in that space, isn't it? Hey, better.
Or you hire someone to do it for you.
Yeah, that's even better. And then you can still get the best out of it. You make songs. And then you're able to pray and to sing and to thank Hashem. Right. And that's what I always saw by Tzaddikim. There's always like a certain simcha. My Rebbe established every day before, as Mincha finishes, to sing Mizmor Soda, which is a whole song, Psalm 100 of thanking Hashem. So the Rav Orish says, say it 8 times. And you have Yeshua, and it's always walking around thanking Hashem.
Soda?
Yeah, when I was on tour with him, he'd go to the bathroom and come out dancing. He comes out of the toilet, but he'd come out, he'd dance to go wash his hands, and then while he's washing hands, the simcha, he'd be singing, and then he'd start dancing around the room, and then he'd go, to the next meeting, and even though the next meeting was some person who was terminally ill and about to die, he walked in there with simcha beforehand, and even though he came out a little bit broken, but he then went on to the next thing and danced,
Right.
Thanks to Hashem, yeah?
Yeah, I was talking with Joey over Shabbos.
Yeah.
I took a nap and then I woke up and I was like just feeling like sometimes you wake up from a Shabbos nap, you feel more tired.
Yeah.
I came downstairs and I was like thinking about Rebzusha.
It's a proof to Mechaim Mason, by the way.
What?
When you go to sleep on Shabbos after the Chulin, the fact you wake up, it's a proof of resurrection of the dead. That's what they say.
And I was thinking about Rebzusha.
Yeah.
How was like such a chiddush, how this tzaddik was able to, he had such a refined, his whole being was about this Torah of Nachman.
Thank you,
He was able to take in all the...
Never saw the bad.
Right, he took all the notes, so he took all the broken strings and notes, the key, and he just managed to play it into like a beautiful harmony. Some of the most beautiful songs are the songs that they go off of the key.
Right.
In every key, you use certain notes that fit in the key, like an A major and A minor. But some of the most beautiful and the ones that are like the biggest chiddush are the ones where they take and they go off and they add notes into the key that don't normally fit. That's why the Chabad are good. Those are like
Amazing.
those are like
They're the best.
in E major, but they also add in like
I was listening to Radiohead the other day, and I haven't listened to them for years. And there's certain songs and moments where it's just, it takes you into a realm of spirit, even though I don't know if he knows what he's doing. But it's so like intense. Some of the songs, the music, it's like it's almost operatic. It's like going into another level.
Yeah.
And
you ever listen to the Grateful Dead?
Oh, I didn't really.
That was never your jam.
Yeah, I'm English, so Radiohead would be more my jam.
Pink Floyd.
Yeah, they're a bit too. I had my times I was listening to them, but they were a bit too much drug influenced. So I just had my limit with the drug energy. I mean, like Alice in Chains, unfortunately, I listen to a lot, but they're very down, like literally down in a hole, like really dark stuff. But yes, you have to be careful with those kind of songs. We're going to learn about that. But there's a power there. And I once heard, back to the Nigune Kosher, I once heard from, his name was Nachman. He once said that a Jewish song is always with a sad focus, like it's A minor, it's always D minor, it's always a sad notes. But a Jewish song is a sad song makes a Jewish soul happy, and a happy song makes a Jewish soul sad.
Right.
So when you have all this like cheesy pop, like commercial Jewish music, it makes my soul sad. It really does. Right. Because it doesn't feel anything.
Yeah.
Like that was my issue when I first came to Eretz Yisrael. Literally until Yosef Kaduna came along, I felt like there was nobody to listen to because it was all like this guy on a keyboard singing, some pasuk again and again. It just didn't talk to me,
Right. Yeah.
Like very superficial. Like it wasn't like someone who'd gone through, rehab or had lost someone in his life. It just always been around Hasidim dancing around. Like it didn't talk to me, So Yosef Gedona come along about Tshuva, someone who went through life already in the 80s and 90s, and his music talked to my soul till now,
Yeah.
And then thank God now there's lots of good artists, in the Jewish world.
Rebbe Weinberger, he holds Joseph Karduner to be like he's in love with him.
Yeah.
Whenever he talks about like any of the Likutei Moharan, Nachman's Torah, regarding music, he always references Joseph Karduner.
Yeah, he is. He is the reference. He is the example of a kosher, Bauman.
Also his being, his essence.
He's beautiful. Yeah.
He's like just
beautiful.
He's like an R.
Yeah. And he doesn't want any covers, and that's the best part. I remember once I had him perform at a program in Israel, and the guys are really into it, and it's really special. And then there was a bar mitzvah going on next door, and there was a kid there who didn't have parents, so everyone was sameach him. So part of the program was about chesed. So the rabbi asked Yosef if he doesn't mind if we could all go next door and dance with the bar mitzvah. So everyone goes out and dances with the bar mitzvah and does a whole zach with the bar mitzvah, and this orphan. And I turn around and Yosef's still sitting there, and he calls me over. He says, "Eli, is there like mechitzas and all this stuff?" I said, "No." It's like, they're not like Haredi, they're not holding. He's like, "If you don't mind, I want to stay here." Yeah. I said, you didn't have to come to the mitzvah. There was no obligation. You came to sing for the yeshiva, not for the mitzvah. And there's enough guys dancing around making a situation there now. It's fine. You stay here. So, but you see, his first thing is not to please people, but to do Ratzon Hashem.
Right.
Is it tznius? That's what he cares about. You say, "Oh, he's missing out on doing a chesed." There was other people to do the chesed,
Right.
That don't have such sensitivity like he has. I mean, tell me out there in the music world who has such a sensitivity, cares about if there's mechitza or not. And for like a half an hour, sameach some bar mitzvah. So it goes Rabbi Nachman weiter that it's knowing that a person who falls in his mind is because of all the abundance of gashmis and his actions, bad actions. He sees he's so far from kedusha. Like how much food can a person consume? Like sometimes you see some of these scenarios. I'm not in that world right now, but I was just back in London, and even London, which is very conservative compared to America in terms of gashmis, the housing and the way they do things. And I went to like a few different events, and there was like a few little pieces of schnitzel and chips. That was like what each
Right.
person got. You go to an event in America, there's like, there's
Cured beef.
I don't know. There's like some carving board or something. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. And the level of the gashmis, even someone I opened up Thursday night by the Zera Shimshon show. I opened up a bag of chips, the pretzel thing, and it was American product. I didn't even know what it was. I opened it up and I smell it, and the amount of chemicals pouring out this bag, it was like overwhelming. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've never smelled such it's like reeking with all kinds of junk they put in it to make it like this overwhelming flavor. And I started putting it on the table because it didn't see like there was any food. And Debbie walks in and said, no, that's OUD, and we're having meat tonight, and you should put that away. And I was like, it's OUD, it's pretzels. What do they put in here?
Right.
Yeah,
Snyder's.
I don't know what it was, and we just packed it away.
Worst.
And I was just like, oh my god, like it's not even food anymore. I don't know what it is. It's like just pure like chemical stimulants. Like there's so much gashmis that you lose that feeling of kedusha and emes, like because you're just so absorbed in this need for flavor that's just not human anymore and not natural. As alpi rov eina yochel ispalo klau machmazeh. And even though rov, you're not able to like daven because of this, and that's what's going to happen as soon as you start falling into this overload of gashmis and physicality. What happens? That you're not really going to be able to pray properly. Play also, but you're not going to be able to play music. You're not going to be able to pray properly. Why? This is the real key. Always, you want to check yourself.
Right.
Check if this is helping you in your avodas Hashem or not, and often that's to do with your tefillah. If something's enhancing your tefillah, then you know it's in a good thing.
Right.
Example would be like if you learn certain kinds of Torah. I remember I had a family member started learning Chakiris. You know what Chakiris? Rabbi Nachman hates all this stuff. Like
Chakiris, like in the Gemara?
Yeah, but not even more than that. Like things like I've forgotten how to say it. Menorah Nevuchim, that's safer. Yeah, Menorah Nevuchim. Or there's a bunch of other svarim like this where they deal with like Chakiris, like philosophical questions, and they're going back and forth. And in university, I used to hear these kind of things. Like weird philosophical stuff, and you're questioning the whole thing of Munah and everything. So I used to ask the people who would learn that kind of stuff. They say, how's your tefillah doing? That was my question to them. How's your davening? And they were like, not so great. And I was like, well, obviously, you look what you're learning. Right. How is this helpful? It's not going to help you in your life. And I watched their life unravel, because without tefillah, then everything else sort of loses its purpose. You're learning, you're davening, you're shalom bayis. If you don't have a connection to Hashem, then everything else weakens. It all becomes... So once you poison that well, you poison the well of emunah and purity of belief, so then everything else gets affected. It's like poison, literally.
Yeah. Well, it's also like this idea that the Chodesh of Nachman, and really in general, especially in our generation, is all about like bittul. It's all about being bittul, being mevata, like being eino mevadai. Like all these ideas were the biggest cure to our anxiety. It's just giving it to Hashem.
Right, so more emunah.
More emunah, like the thing.
Strengthening the truth.
You're trying to figure out Hashem. You're not going to get get really far.
And it's interesting because I had a friend. I was sitting at one of these tables where there was a lot of gashmis, and he turned to me and said, "I just want to let you know, I listened to all these audio books, and my friends, everyone's been recommending this guy Sapien, and all these like books from this guy Yorav Nahari or whatever. He's a very intelligent Jew, thought leader nowadays, and not religious, and I've come across some of his stuff, and thank God with the fact that I'm connected to Torah and all this stuff, I can sort of sift out a little bit of good from that guy. But my friend, as soon as he started listening to it on audio, and he's still not absorbed in Yiddishkeit properly, like fully, he started listening to it, and he just felt, if I carry on, I'm going to like ruin my whatever little bit of good I've got in my emunah. And he stopped listening to it. So he had the self-control and the self-awareness to realize this is not going to be good for his soul, which is a shame because it's written by Jewish, author from Israel, but he's obviously not living so Jewish, and so Israel. But anyway, Yisraeli. But the point is that we have to be careful. Anything that pulls us away from Kedusha and Emes, we have to be careful. Because what's going to happen, we're not going to be able to pray properly. And that's when we start to realize it's affecting us, this lifestyle and this whole thing. He's not able to open his mouth at all. Because of the great sadness, and Morash Chor is a very deep, like black, sort of based on like the blood. What's it called? That part of the body, like the liver.
Yeah.
Creates this blackness.
Right. But we were just talking about how in the parsha it says that Hashem hardened, right? He hardened Paro's heart.
Kavedis, yeah.
Kavedis.
Covered Leiv Paro.
And what he actually did was he turned his heart into a liver.
Wow. You saw that somewhere?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because
that's where the blackness comes from, all the negativity.
Kvedus is from the liver. So the liver is the one where you get all the stubbornness from.
Yeah, I mean, you can use it for good things. It cleans the body, but if it's not done right, it can really poison a person with negativity and illness. Kvedus no follow, Lorraine. So this heaviness fell upon him. So it's a good comparison to covered Leiv Paro, I like that. And through this, he sees the great, in essence, how distant he is, exceedingly distant from Hashem. He is. Which is really, if you care about your relationship with Hashem, this should be the worst thing that can happen to a person. Not bankruptcy, not challenges with all kinds of other problems. The worst thing you could have in your life is to be distant from Hashem. Because Hashem is everything. And if you understand that truth, then you know that relationship with Hashem is everything.
Right.
So this is a pretty not good state for a person to get into. But then that person that revives himself, and through this Eitzah that we just learned, now this whole Eitzah is of Nekudas Tovus, and Nekudas Tovus in others, and Nekudas Tovus in himself, Melake, the good notes, the good Nigunim, and even though at the end of the day he's going to say, look at all these not good things. Yeah, I was watching whatever, and all the different stuff that goes on in life. Yeah, I wasn't saying nice stuff to my family, or all the things that make you, I'm saying like quite moderate stuff, but there's pretty heavy stuff a person can get involved with nowadays. You could become a gambling addict, no problem. Even in a frat, there's a whole poker chevra if you want to go join it once a week. There is.
I got the text invite.
You got, and they'll provide you plenty of weeds, yeah,
right,
and I don't know what else, yeah, and you can go, and I've been there, and it was pretty positive when I was there because we put on some good music and we talk Torah a little bit. But if you start doing it week after week, it becomes a lifestyle,
right?
And it goes on to who knows what hour in the morning, and you start actually losing some proper money to the guy who really is into it, like he's obsessed with it. It can become a problem, yeah. So that's where you have to be careful. So they say a guy is busy with that, and he feels so distant from Hashem. Wakes up the next day, whatever day it is, Yom Chamishi, and it's the day of Kriyas Torah and all this stuff, and he doesn't wake up on time, misses all that, doesn't even go to davening because it's so late from the night before, so long, the whole gambling experience. And so he feels really far from Hashem, and like he missed out on a whole shacharis. So what would Rabbi Nachman say? Beat yourself up that you're caught up in a not such good lifestyle? No, he says you have to seek out those good nekudas tovas. That will give you the strength to get out of that.
Right.
To get up next week, for shacharis. Focusing on the fact that you feel like a bum and then making that your definition of yourself is just going to get worse and worse, God forbid. We have to sameach ourselves. We have to choose the choice with the power of Bechira. Hashem gives us choice to choose to focus on the sameach part, on the nekudas tovas part, on the happy part. And this is certainly roid to a person, it's certainly fitting to a person. The hagdil simchasam ma'od b'chol nekuda tova b'kedush Yisrael shemotz v'asma dayin. And this is definitely, or certainly, he says it very strong lashon, vadai. This is fitting to a person to increase his joy more in every little aspect of good from Kedushas Yisrael. Because you're just being a Jew, you have it already. That's one of the famous breaths of Torah. It's just Shalosh Ani Goy is itself enough to have simcha the whole day.
Mm-hmm.
You said it already? Just by saying Shalosh Ani Goy, I'm made a Yid, not a Goy. I have so much good. I'm a godly soul on the highest level. I have so much to offer the world. Just saying Shalosh Ani Goy, it should be enough to be in a simcha dika state for the rest of the day. That's a Breslov concept. And it should be a Jewish concept, really. But Atzma dying. And to find that from in himself still. And then he's able to what? To revive himself and to rejoice in himself. And through this canal, this whole 8 we said about Nekudas Tovas, Azaihu Yochol Ispalo Lezameh Lahodas Hashem. So by doing this Nekudas Tovas focus, then we can go pray and thank Hashem. That's how we go into Shacharis every day. With this kind of mindset, and then we will wake up every day with Nekudas Tovas. We're going to have the Eitzorah in the back of our head or on our shoulder, wherever it is, saying, you're a bum, go back to sleep. Yeah, nobody needs you. You're going to have that voice, but you have to also have the other voice to fight it. Right. Not just be be vulnerable enough to and it might even be a voice in your own home. It might be someone you love. It might be your parents. There's always going to be some voice, yeah?
Right.
Of the Eight Sahara. And I find it all the time. One of the things when I go back to London, people don't say, oh, wow, you look what you've accomplished. You've become someone learned in Torah. And, you bring up a family in the way of Torah mitzvahs. And your son's in the army. And no one says any of those good things to me pretty much in London. Maybe a few from people. But most of the people I go see, they think that Eretz Yisrael, they've been taught now that they're crazy, the Israelim, and what they're doing in Gaza, and they go on and on about all the negative points that the media brings out. And they think you're just some schnorrer, nobody, doing nothing, and you could have been like this business guy like me and made money, and they literally, they're like your Yetzer Hara mamish.
Right.
So I have to go there and no, that's, even without anyone saying it explicitly, that's the mindset. And you have to constantly say to yourself, no, I'm good. I'm doing good. My son is serving Hashem be'emes. He's serving Hashem in the army, protecting Am Yisrael for the whole world. He's protecting all of humanity from evil. Yeah, it's the biggest avoda what he's doing. And then I have to remind myself, and all the mitzvahs and Torah mitzvahs I'm doing in Eretz Chodesh is so big. It's bringing all the shefa and bracha for all the Klal Yisrael and all the shmira. And then plus I managed to make a kosher panasa that I'm not stealing from anyone. I'm not involved in any weird money stuff that goes on nowadays. All these people that seem to be so rich. It's not all of it. It's coming from kosher money. Right. There's all kinds of games going on.
In New York, one of the big businesses is it's called cash advance.
Yeah.
Ever hear of it?
I don't know, but it doesn't sound good.
Cash advance is like this business.
Maybe Nachman hates loans.
Yeah, so this cash advance business is basically the loophole within the system. There's laws in, let's say, New York, you're not allowed to loan money at a higher interest rate than 20% or 24%.
Yeah.
And it's called usury. They have usury loans. However, these people are lending money to grocery. You want to open up a grocery, a pizza store. You're not really going to get a loan necessarily. You need $200,000. Let's say to open up a pizza store. $500,000. You go to a cash advance guy, gives you your $500,000, charges you 35% interest.
Oh wow!
And then what he does, the way he is able to get around the usury loan thing is that they take part of your, it's called merchant cash advance. They take part of your, every time you swipe a credit card. So a guy comes to a pizza store, swipes $10, they take $3 of that.
Wow!
Because if they're, and it's billed as a different thing.
What a nightmare!
And
we want to get
involved
in
that. You're like sucking out people's lives.
Yeah.
There are people who now they're trying to make odds end, and they're paying 40% interest also.
It's ridiculous.
So it's a big business in New York. It's a very
doesn't sound good. Sounds like Rebbe or 20 other issues.
It's just not like a. it's just not like a good business to be in, right? It's like, I don't know. It's like when I think of, if someone told me like, oh, what do you do? I own a pawn shop.
Yeah.
You know, like a pawn shop is like people come in at the bottom of their lives and they sell their most prized possessions.
Yeah.
And you own the shop, and the way you make money is you see these people in their desperate need,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, and you take advantage of them.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember I had like jewelry for my grandma, never.
Right.
And I really, and it was going for a rough time. We had a bunch of silver and stuff, and we had no money.
Right.
And what could we do? Go ask the other Rosh Kolo or someone for money? It's not going to happen. I didn't know all these Americans and English people that, and in those days I had no internet like I did then. So if I wanted to get hold, I had to phone them, and I just wasn't in the schnorring space anyway. So I just didn't do that. I just lived off Hashem's kindness. So I took all this jewelry that I inherited and just pawned it.
Right.
And that's it. It's gone forever. And they
Right.
probably gave us some rubbish amount, weighed
Yeah.
it up, and and buy. And that was it. But I remember it was my wife and I, and we did that together. And it was really a rough time to be able to have to do that, just to make ends meet. But it's very humbling, those moments as well.
Right.
My wife said she was never going to wear that jewelry, but still, I didn't really want to get rid of it.
Right. It's nice to have to have the luxury sometimes
Yeah.
to hold on to things you never really use.
But that was part of the situation I was in, and then, in the end, I was appreciative that there was a guy that would give us money for it because we needed to eat.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of people have never experienced that, but I've experienced poverty in Eretz Yisrael. I've lived on the poverty line, mamish, like where I've had almost nothing, and just enough maybe to get bread and milk. And I don't know how I'm going to pay the rent, don't know how I'm going to move, and none of this, don't know that. And it always worked out somehow, always. And you felt Hashem's kindness take you through that time period. And it was very profound. I don't want to ever go back to that kind of experience because it's quite, it's you need to be in a certain headspace. And, our kids were little then, so there was less expenses. Right now, it just wouldn't, I'd pray to Hashem and never end up in such a space again.
I think Shlomo was saying, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, he was saying that it's much harder or much easier to serve Hashem from a place of when you have nothing.
Yeah.
When you mamish, you have no one else in this world than Hashem.
Yeah. That's my experience.
When someone has it all, I see it because I just moved from New York.
Yeah.
And Baruch Hashem, I came from a community where, there's a lot. People have a lot. There are people who are, and then there are people who are they just have so much.
Yeah.
And I see that a lot of the people, it's very hard. They have a very hard time finding Hashem from that place.
Yeah, I have family who are not religious at all, or not yet anyway, and I was talking to them about the family business, and I have no percentage on it, even though, family business, quote marks. And I'm asking them, I heard you're selling it or whatever, and they one of them was like, I don't want to talk about it. It's like, not your business, Maybe they feel uncomfortable, but it's been in the family since, the late 60s, 70s, yeah? Like 50-something years, maybe longer. And I'm just so it's a decision. It's quite a note, but it's not going to be a discussion with me because I didn't stay in London and stay part of it, So then it's just okay, fine, don't talk to me about it. It's fine, but it's just it's quite a powerful thing. When you've had something always, since I've grown up, it's always been there. This office, and there's always an income coming into the family, and suddenly some of them want to just sell it and buy,
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite like a statement, but you have to sort of have an ownership or have an importance to have ability to talk,
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very humbling. I feel though that my years of investment in Ruchnius are paying off in other ways. So and my children always say, my kids, like my son in the army, he's like those days in Cheder learning with a Gemara Rebbe and all those Rebbes and Siddiqim you took me to as a kid, they're all inside of me. So now I'm out there in Gaza with mostly non-religious Jews, or seemingly non-religious, because when it comes down to it, they actually want to do mitzvahs, to fill in scissors. They're doing mitzvahs. But it seems like, he's in a place which is less spiritual, and so he's got that whole wellspring of years of seeing the Kalva Rebbe and Rasimai Zilberg and all these Siddiqim going for Brengens and Chabad and all the things I took him to as a kid. where instead of me like being busy with business, I was busy with ruchnius.
Right.
So I invested that whole, like Joey said to me that Rev Morgenstern said to people in America that they're going to have a much better hinach coming to Eretz Yisrael. Even with the issue, better hinach, better education.
Right.
Even with all the struggles the system has here, there's still like a light. There's still enough of a light in Eretz Yisrael with the holy people that are here and the Voda,
Right.
and the light that it just exists intrinsically in Eretz Yisrael to make it worthwhile for your kids' education.
Right. And nowadays, the only education kids really need are like spiritual educations, which you don't really get in yeshiva as much. Like you need to get it like from sometimes just being in this country.
Yeah.
Like for me, sometimes I drive with my kids when we go to Kfar Etzion.
Yeah.
Or stop, we pass the Tzamar Gush, or we pass like different checkpoints.
Yeah.
Where you see like the Chayalim like set up. And almost every time we go, we see someone who stopped their car, parked it on the highway, get out of the car. There's something, usually it's like an old lady, and she walks over to the Chayalim with like, a bunch of sodas or a bunch of coffees or, some sandwiches or some homemade cookies. And it's just this constant, constant chesed, like culture of chesed. And then my kids see that. You don't see that. It's so pure here. There's no fun and games. There's no it doesn't need to be broadcast on,
Yeah.
It's just a pure, it's just it's like the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael. It's like it just.
Yeah, everything's so mitzvah focused, yeah.
Right. But it's real mitzvahs. Like a lot of the mitzvahs that we see that come out of Chutzlar, it's like at least a lot of it is it's so even that is artificial. It's all
there's even a machlokas we've shown him is a mitzvah deraisa in Chutzlaretz, or mitzvah derabbanan. It's only just so to prepare us to come back to it. So there's a shita Ramban, I think. So there is even a shita that it doesn't have the full shleimus of a mitzvah.
Right.
But like Birkas Kohanim in Eretz Chutzlaretz, in Ashkenazim don't even do it. So now I'm coming back and doing Birkas Kohanim every day with two people. It's a deraisa.
Right.
There's mitzvahs I just can't do there. Unless I get in a Sfadi minyan, and even then it's a question, is it really the full mitzvah? So definitely there's so much mitzvahs, Eretz as well. And this is part of what we're going to do now. We're going to see there's a song in the land, and there's a song in our soul, there's a song in our being, and that's every shachas we're going to come to this pasuk, and let's learn this now. Zeh Bechinas, we'll end off with this Torah, because we've got 8 minutes. Let's try do this next paragraph with chizuk. Zeh Bechinas Telem Kuf Mem Vav Azamra Elokai BOdi. I will sing to Hashem BOdi. So we say this every day in Halalukas. In the Pesukei Azamra, very important part. The Halalukas is probably the major part of with Ashrei, the major part of Pesukei Azamra in Shacharis. But Odi, what's this Odi Daika? What's this Odi? I will sing to God with this Odi. Hainu Aidei Bechinas Od Shali. Shani Motzi Ba'asam Bechinas Od Ma'at Einu Rasha Canal. Like we said, that whole Torah we had in the pasuk at the beginning, when we learned this a week ago or so, this idea of the Od Ma'at Einu Rasha. What's that Od Ma'at? What is the Od? In a little bit, there's no Rasha. There's no bad. So something in the Odi. The Od is actually, a very powerful word. We mentioned the idea of the Ad, the Aid, Shema Yisrael Hashem Echad Hashem Echad, the big I and the big Dalet, and the Sikh Saran, he connected to this Torah with the Odi. What is the Odi? This big Adis of Hashem's oneness, this big Adis of that I'm a soul of Hashem. I have a chelik of Elokai in my mamish. I'm a neshama that He gives me every day, and that is inside of me, and that essence, that's the truth of who I am. Elokai neshama starts to be tahari. He put into me a pure soul. This is the Odi. This is what this Odi is. That I'm not a Rasha. I'm not bad. Because in a little bit, you're going to see by focusing on the truth of Nakudas Tovas, I'm not bad. That's what we learn. By this Nakuda, Hashem. And through this, I'm then able to sing and thank Hashem. This is everything we just learned. It all now ties into this pasuk Azamra Elokai BOdi. Zeh Azamra Daika, singing, Badafka, specifically singing. And we said singing is a whole Indian of drawing out the good notes, the good parts. Malak those good parts of yourself. V'zayah, Rebbeinu. Now, here we're going to get a warning from Rebbeinu, from Rebbe Nachman, Tzchanu Lebracha. Mod leilach im Torah hazos. He went with this Torah. Yeah, very much. This was one of the Torahs, Azamra BOdi, that Rebbe Nachman lived with. Every time he got to that in Shachris, every day, Shemai Soshem Lechad, he was busy with the Odi, this big Nakuda Tova inside of us. This big essence, focus on our essence, focus on the essential good within. That was what Rebbe Nachman would go with. Everything we just learned. Because this is a big yesod, a big foundation that anyone who wants to get closer to Him. So we don't lose this world, His world, completely. Because if you allow those not good nakudas to take over, which they try every day, you can lose the world. Because you can start justifying doing all kinds of like business, like you mentioned before, all kinds of, you can find a way. Say, no, I'm providing him money so he can open a business, even though you're stealing 40% of it every day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, or you're saying, I'm not stealing, it's a legitimate deal. Yeah, whatever. You know deep down it's wrong. Yeah,
right.
Every neshama knows that some of these things that people do day after day are wrong. But without the reason why you justify it is because you're not in the world of good. You're not in that Nakuda Tova. You're in a sort of a mix-up of confused good and bad. So you're saying, I'm helping him. You're not really helping him. You're helping yourself. Because most people feel far from Hashem. And the main reason is because they're all stuck in all the sadness, heaviness. Their das. Remember, we learned the Shabbos, and we've learned many times already together since we've been learning Rebbe Nachman. Their das has fallen. Their ability to have clarity and truth has fallen. Because everyone has they fallen so much in such a great way? Because all the great damage they seem to be busy with their actions. Yeah, spilling seed or hurting people's feelings and stealing even worse from people. All kinds of terrible stuff that people could get. Big things that really mess up this world. Everyone according to what they know themselves. The negoi, their heart level and pain, yeah, because everyone has their own awareness, that pain points, that self-awareness. Let's see how you translate that. I think that's important to translate that right. Knows of his heart's affliction and his anguish. Yeah, you will know. Everyone knows themselves. Yeah, and from this they fall in their mind. Rubam miyashim atzman legamre. So this is the worst part. Then they start to quit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're not davening good, and they're not serving Hashem fully, but they start to give up on themselves. Despair. The worst thing. You start saying like, I'm no good. I can't bring the chef that my wife wants, or the whatever you imagine you need to do. Yeah. I'm not able to be a good father, I'm not this, that, all the different Yetzirah points. Yeah, so you start thinking, I'm no good, I'm wasting space. I'm out of here. Yeah, I don't need to be here and suffer anymore in this world. That's the kind of talk you start saying, Chas Shalom. And then you don't daven properly, you just turn up to shul and mumble some words, or you don't even come to shul. You just mumble some words at home, or you don't even do that. It's like a general you read it, what happens after that. He's not even doing what he should be doing till now. Up until now, at least he went daven shachris. He's not even doing that. Therefore, a person needs to think deeply on this thing very much, or think, use his mind on this thing. This is all from the Eitzahara. All this negativity, all these negative thoughts, these bad feelings about yourself, the das falling, where you're no longer with clarity anymore. This whole confused state, a negative state all comes from one thing, from the Baldava, from the Eitzahara. It wants to make you, this is the war in this world. This is the war internal, inside. Right. And every human on this earth is going through it. It doesn't matter who, except for maybe the Rishonim, Gemurim, who this is what they are. They're with the Baldova. But everybody else who's not so evil, this is a fight. Where are we? Oh, B'dava, Shemachalish Dato. Yeah, there's another thing. He weakens his mind, Kedele Hapil Game, to fall completely Hashem, Chazek Ma'od. So therefore, what we're going to do, if it literally could ruin a person's soul if he doesn't do what Rabbi Nachman Zeitzer is, it's like optional. It's not optional. Even though you say, so I didn't learn this Torah and I'm still around, well, because you were doing this on some level. You were focusing on your good. You had supportive people around you. You had a Rebbe, saw the good in you. You had a wife who believes in you. You had children who look up to you. You had so much pushing you forward till now. But now with this Eitzah, you can do it, l'chachila. You can clarify again and again. I'm l'chachila going to go through and find these Likutei Tovos. And I'm going to, honestly, that's what I'm going to do with these Bnei Akiva boys. When I speak, I'm going to give over this Torah, but according to them. Because the only way they're going to get forward in their life, I could tell them because they're more modern guys and they do touch women and this and that, yeah. So if I come and tell them about Shomer Negiah and start giving them all these thoughts about what happens when you spill seed and how negative it is, I'm just going to destroy their connection b'chlal, yeah.
Right.
The whole way we're going to get out of this negative circle of not having that kedusha and tahara that a Jew can really achieve is to teach them. Believe in themselves, to give them the ability to go a little step forward. That one step forward is a step in the right direction, and build that on that. And that's a day-by-day thing, because that's what he's going to say now. Okay, this weekend is chazak ma'od. Leilachim b'torah zos, lachapish levakish atzma b'chol pam ezet tam mat tov, nekudas tovas v'chulu kanal. Even when I was in London, people were asking me questions. Can I do it this way, with relations? Can she do this to me? Can I? All these questions people ask, yeah? And I'm just like, wow, imagine sitting with Siddiqim. I mean, at least they're being honest what they want to do, but this is so far from like the conversation. But at the same time, they're being real. They're honest. They want to. They need to pleasure themselves. So I'm like, no, your whole point of marriage is to pleasure her, not pleasure yourself. Right. So you got to figure out, is this connected to pleasuring her? If it isn't, then it's not. There's no real heta. There's not really what you should be doing. That's not the mindset.
Right.
So I'm trying to get these guys as well, like everyone according to their level, to just step up a little bit. Like at least think about her needs a little bit more than yourself. Maybe you're not going to be doing it in the highest madriga, but at least her needs. It's about focusing on becoming a giver in this area. For example, they're just taking one thing. And then they step up a level. And then every bit, Nakuda Tova brings them up to a higher level. See, the whole thing, once you've got into the realm of chizuk and Nakudas Tovas, and through this Torah, you're constantly going into Nakudas Tovas, then you're going to samech yourself and start to yearn for Yeshuas. You're going to believe that you're going to have salvations, you're going to have, there's hope.
Yeah.
And once you've got hope, then you can move forward. And then you're going to be able to daven and thank Hashem. And then you can return back to Hashem. I think that's a good place to stop. And I think maybe next time we'll learn Torahs and Nigunim. I think that's what we need to do, because after that he goes flying into Moshe Rabbeinu. Maybe we'll come back to another day. It's very high Torahs. I mean, everything's high. But that was very practical, what we just learned. Very needed. Hugely important for our generation. As you heard from Rabbi Nachman himself, he walks with that Torah, that's his Torah.
This is Laser Brody's Likutei Moharan.
Yeah, funny enough, he left it here somehow. Yeah.
Oh, 1 second. Hello. Coming out.
Good timing.